Welcome, everyone. Shall we talk about this? I suppose so. Let's take an in-depth look of the Superman motion picture movie Anthology. Today, I am President to Meet Reviews. Welcome back. Okay, let's just talk about and take an in-depth look of this lovely package of the Superman Anthology film. So, let's dive in right on the floor and take a look. Alright. Alright, welcome to the floor. You can see my hands there. Okay, alright, whatever. Okay, so let's take a closer look of this lovely set. Now, you notice, of course, it is, raised bump on the side based on the front cover. You have the Superman logo on the front. And it is, of course, the 1978 to the 2006 basically Superman Returns basic year. So of course you have that on the base of the spine. Well, basically, of course, on the base of this, and you have, of course, not the bumpy originally raised basically on here. And the other side, same thing as again. And on the top, you have, of course, Superman, the Anthology motion picture film, and then of course on the back you have a listing basic, of course, of a good design based on the what we expect to base it on the inside base of this lovely box. You do have a nice written image base of the Superman cape design, and of course it does contain based with all 8 disc basis set, and it's really nice, really considered, and because of course this is really not a rare basis set, but this is an extremely very well cheap. And I paid pretty original, which was like $60 for it, for our basin I got from Sam's, and it was actually pretty well price. So at the base, of course, the front, which is there. On the back, there's really nothing really. Oh, excuse me. On the back, there's really nothing inside. I mean, just of course the card itself. You just got more basic info of the Forces of Solitude basic background. And really nice glossy, shiny, basically box. Well, not sturdy, basically, but very well, basically box itself, first though. So we open up, take off the basic and we open this part up, and look at that, comes right off. We'll put that inside, and of course, take off this lovely basic set here, and look at that. You have, of course, the design of the Superman cape with the Superman S logo, which I love, on the back of the cape. I mean, I always kind of find, in multiple versions of Superman comics, or even based on the new ones, don't really feature the S symbol, well, the yellow S symbol version on the cape version, which I really do miss that. On the base of the spine cord, you do have the Superman. The Superman Anthology text and basically in lovely lettering, which is quite nice. Really does say quite design. So there you go. And on the back, just more gibber based about the film and just in the rating and everything else. So if we turn this sideways back to the cape, we open it up. It does contain with all featurettes, including basically all. When I do eventually get a chance to buy a film or a box set, I do tend to basically watch all the featurettes, including basically the entire basic commentaries. So it's really nice to say of itself. And if we open it up, look at that. It is, of course, a 8-disc set. So you have, of course, 2 versions of the Superman the movie. You have, of course, the standard version, and you have the Richard. Basically the original base, which is only about 2 hours long, while of course the standard version, I think it is based about another base of 2 hours long. And then of course to our Superman 2, We have, of course, the Richard Donner cut, which basically is probably not the best Richard Donner cut, but it does give a little bit more. And then you have the Richard Lester basically original basically release, because every time basically this was actually the only release that they actually put out recently from all multiple basically DVDs and Blu-rays, which are this base of the original basically Richard Lester that they released. But with the Richard Donner, I was very kind of like curious based of how that cut was basically cut out. But there are basically, moments in basically in the Richard Donner cut, which is because, both basically two of these films was trying to do both simultaneously to basically get one basically out of the way before they did basically, of course, when they released the first Superman movie. Then of course you have Superman 3, which is of course Superman 3. You have of course the original theatrical release, and of course Superman 4 in basically the theatrical release. So basically, that being said, it's pretty obvious. Really not much I can say about that. Then of course, on Superman Returns, we have just the movie version, which you do contain basically all the features basically in basically the Superman Returns, multiple basic carnations like the DVDs and Blu-rays, and it does have all the features actually. And on the bonus disc is actually really good. But I will explain about the features originally on there. So that is of course the disc. And on the background, you have this huge mounted base of the Superman cape flapping based on the background with the blue. And so I'm going to take these discs off and show you what it looks like. If I can get them out. So originally give you an idea what it looks like. Yeah, I just have to really I mean, the thing I like about this case, about this set, you do have the Blu-rays, slipping in this little slot in, and it's a little bit more well designed than you actually. Good design though, to keep the distance from not touching together, and actually does make it a little bit more better as you're forward. I think every DVD or every Blu-ray should definitely have something like this, though. I know there's other basically Blu-ray sets like the Indiana Jones basic set that it has the cardboard basically, and because of you, and so that's pretty much. So that's of course how it looks. So it starts off with the blue skyline of the base of the design, and then you have this huge minor base of the Superman cape flapping right in the sky, and we turn it sideways. It does contain the base of the cape itself. So there you go. Okay, so we can put the disc back in. Put the bonus disc like so. Then we put Superman Returns. I find really obviously interesting about Superman Returns that it was supposed to be a direct sequel of Superman 1 and 2, but for some reason, when Superman 4 came out in, what was it, 1984, I believe? I think that's somewhere around that year. And then, of course, that was... Okay, turn to special features. We have this one, Superman Return. Okay, turn to the special features. In this one, we have Superman the movie, the theatrical release, commentary by Princess Sokin, or should I say, Princess, I can't even his name, Princess Sokin, Princess Spearboon, and executive producer, I can't even speak. Okay. Alright. Turn to special features. We have commentary by producer and executive producer Liam Zokin and Parempa Spear. Valium TV special, The Making of the Superman the Movie. The 1951 theatrical feature movie Superman the Mole-Man, starring George Reed. Classic cartoon Superman spoofs, which is Super Rabbit, Spootman, and Stupor Duck, and theatrical the trailer and TV spot. Disc 2, we have Superman the movie, the theatrical edition, director commentary by Richard Donner, and of course creating considerable Tom Zimmerman. 3 documentary, Take Flight, the development of Superman, making of the Superman, filming on the legend and the magic behind the cape, restored scenes, adding deleted scenes, screen tests, music only audio track, only audio only bonus, adding music cues. On disc 3 we have Superman 2, the original 1980 to 81 theatrical release, feature commentary by producer and executive producer, Ventura TV special, the making of Superman 2, adding scenes, feature first flight, the Fleischer Superman series, which is of course a full documentary of the Fleischer cartoon, along with basically 9 Fleischer-based studio cartoon of the Superman cartoon, 1940s. And disc 2, which is the Richard Donner cut, not the Richard Lester, the Richard Donner cut. We have commentary by Richard Donner and co-creator Tom Mandervim, if I pronounce his name right, and then information by Richard Donner. Featurette features Superman 2, the restoring of the Vision, and then of course adding scenes along with more basically of the Fleischer 40s cartoon, which is only 8 total based on the disc 4, and then basically of course you have 9 basically on total basically in disc 3. Then of course we'll go to Superman 3, commentary by producer and executive producer, Valid TV special, the making of the Superman 3, adding scenes and theatrical trailer. And then finally on disc 6 we have Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, commentary by screenwriter Mark Russellman, Valid TV special, the Superman 50th anniversary, the celebration of the Superman, the celebration of the Man of Steel, added scenes and theatrical trailer. On disc 7 we have on disc 7 in Superman Returns we have the restoring of Krypton, the making of the Superman Returns, script from screen from 7 stages, along with the original and the first issue, crystal modeling the design of Superman from art and costume design to the set conduction, Archimism base of the property farm, with shooting Superman of the Superman on farm, Superman in the city, Superman in peril, along with basically the showing Lex meeting Superman. The behind the scenes are based of Kevin Spacey. It's a full base of course Kevin Spacey basically, and along with basically of course he's always around wrapping up the Superman, and of course nice. Okay, that's fine. What was that show was called? Looking for the word. Well, you know what I mean, of course, from The Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah, that's what it. And, you know, I thought Brandon Routh, he did probably well as Clark Kent. You know, being the nerdy, very well, kind of like quiet, really kind of shrill, basically kind of like Clark Kent. But when he portrayed as Superman, it's kind of weird because the costume itself, it looks quite basic. It's not bad at all. It doesn't feel very well classic. It doesn't have that bright basic colors. It doesn't have that very factory basic theories of the fabrics, based on how we look. I mean, the entire suit, I guess I could say, even though of course they did so much to do, which I mean, Bryanson, he's one of those directors who likes to go more visual and more or not comic booky, but more just like what if basically these superheroes in today's standard were more real and more modern, basically, and being more, I guess in some of the terms, just basically bring the very well realistic basic style. But what that's kind of based understandable for Richard Ford. If you look at Batman, Christopher Nolan basic films, they're more kind of like going to that real world kind of style version, I guess. But to be fair, the costume stuff looks more kind of just bland, really, though, and that's just my opinion as a person who likes to look at costume dealing and basically how the design looks, and they did so much designing of the suit. They just tried to go what Brian and Rich were going with. So, and even with the boots, I mean, I don't know, it's just one of those things you have to look at basically. Okay, continuing on, based on more based of the behind the scenes, we have shooting basically. We have more based off the shooting of Superman, which is of course Superman on the farm, Superman in the city, Superman in Peril, which is a very well decent, well good kind of behind, very well basically behind the scenes scene when you do see, Superman in the Kryptonite basically island, and you do see Brandon Routh basically getting the shit kick or those guys. I mean, I was very well just like dumbstruck when I see Superman just getting the crap out of him so badly. I mean, it brings back to Superman 2 when he got powerless, and of course he was very powerless and very well not being that bad guy, well being that trucker to beat him up originally, but he does kind of sequel base. And here, basically in Superman Returns, he get the shit kicked out of him so bad. Excuse me for my language, but he does get his ass kicked by those guys. And of course, when you see Lex Luthor carrying that Kryptonite spear knife and to stab him right towards in the back, that's a pretty brutal basic scene. But hey, that just kind of shows how much it's the gender base of the film itself is really going. Then of course we have behind the scenes with Kevin Spacey, and then of course finally we have he's always around wrapping up the Superman at the end of the pair of the photographing. Then we have restoring Jor-El, how the filmmakers recreate the Superman father as portrayed, basically portraying and playing basically by Martin Brando, because Martin Brando passed away sometime basically in 2006, I think. I don't know if it was 2006 or 2007. Don't remember. It was been off of my language for years. Then we have, of course, adding scenes, theatrical trailer, and of course Bryan Singer's video journals. Now, I remember seeing those video journals online, and it was quite really a very well considered moment that way, and it actually quite really was kind of good though to see Bryan actually doing his full-on journals, basically trying to do this film right. But even though with the film being sold as a simple flop, it didn't have the really quite audiences that people were looking at. Now I remember just watching this on DVD. I remember watching Superman Returns on DVD. I thought it was kind of fine, but it didn't really have much hype that the fans wanted, and it was kind of really not my interest. And then including on the bonus disc, we have a feature-length documentary of the Look Up to the Sky, an amazing story of Superman. Now that's a good documentary there. It came out originally on DVD list right before when they put out this set, before basically the anniversary. I mean, I think it was probably his fifth. I think it was probably probably his 60 basically anniversary. I think sometime when this movie came, when Superman Returns came out, and I think that's probably right after originally when they did all the Superman DVD compilations from the TV shows, from the movies, and I think pretty much those are basically just the movies and TV shows they actually released. So that's kind of really obviously. So that's pretty obviously. It makes sense. Then of course you have the standard producing. Your standard basic produced by produced by Bryan Singer, and of course Kevin Burns in high definition. And of course we have a feature-length film documentary of 5-part of You Will Believe, the cinematic saga of the Superman, which is the origin, which is. Well, I can't even speak. Well, you have the cinematic basically saga of all the 4 films. So we have, of course, the original, which is Superman in the media, and the challenge of basically of Sokins, Vision, creating the right script and choosing the right director and cast of the right actors. Songerman, the producer and launching of the new kind of based on fantasy film. Crisis. Reconsideration and crossover between the creation of focus on behind of Superman 2, and then revelation of courage and Burnet's criticism and burnout of Superman 3 and Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. So that was showing that, how, oh, including there's a little bit snippet of Supergirl. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, how did the Zulkins basically got involved in the Supergirl? Well, if you go basically behind the scenes in Superman 3, you can tell there was going to be a Supergirl, basically kind of like a spoof for, of course, she will have a relationship with basically with what was it? I forget what that character originally, of course. Brainiac, and she will develop a basic relationship between the two, and then basically, of course, they will fall in love. Superman probably knowing that, he will basically have his first ever crush and have his first ever romantic relationship with Supergirl. So they didn't really kind of throw that and go that route. But if you do remember, I guess I'll get the movie. I'm gonna get the film itself. All right, so if you do take the movie out, sorry about the blur. It's called off. There we go. But if you do check this movie out, there was basically, of course, basically they're gonna have Superman being basically Supergirl. Having a cameo, basically telling about how she used her abilities and everything else. But they never really got that route, and they never really thought they'd give it a try. So honestly, to be fair, in the commentary, it's a really decent good commentary about, of course, how the director was trying to basically divine basically having, Superman to be in Supergirl, but of course, Christopher Reeve wanted to be in. He didn't want to feel like he wasn't trying to fill the right big part of the film, and it was kind of really a shame because of course, I remember seeing a photo based of both Helen Slater and Christopher Reeve, kind of like, I guess we're just going to a movie premiere. I guess probably the Supergirl movie, and because this was only based on the time which they actually met for the first time. But to be fair, it was actually really interesting. So compared for this, it actually makes a lot more sense. But of course, the Zulkins, and of course the new director, of course, what's his name? Joe from Zinson, that I did not know who did direct, basically, of course, Jaws 2. I did not know he was actually direct this movie originally. I thought it would probably be a different director, but that was kind of interesting. So to be fair, honestly, basically for what they're trying to do, they were trying to make Supergirl her own story. So, but she does, Helen Slater did came a little bit of explain about how they was gonna try to do it, but they thought to have Superman's cousin coming in and basically kind of like take the mantle basically of the super family, and it did kind of make a lot more sense though, but it didn't really kind of show the much more information of it. They did kind of give a little snippet of based of how it was going to plan on, but that's just a whole nother bar story. Then of course we have a TV special of the science of Superman. That's kind of pretty cool version of it. Just like basically Batman Tech, it's showing a little bit of science of how Superman is supposed to use his abilities, how kryptonite is supposed to weaken him, how it affects him and basically kind of comments. And you have, basically, of course, celebrities that, kind of discuss about how, one celebrity originally, I don't remember his name but he used to be in Queer as Frog, and he actually does kind of explain a little bit about how kryptonite affects him based on Superman, how Superman uses his abilities, could try to go to, to one planet to another, but you have a decent, good scientist who kind of really go to the route of explaining how Superman's science really has a matter of fact, and it really is interesting. It really is a good, TV special, and a really well done piece of TV special. Then we have the mythology of the legend of Superman, with of course the folk and cultural basic interests of that originally shared Superman, and then we have the heart of the hero, the tryout to Christopher Reeve, his family and friends, and now that's a really done basic good documentary, and a basic course good feature, because it does give of course Christopher Reeve's family and his friends, how he was a true hero from 1978 to 2006 when he passed away very well fundamentally, basically, because he had done several episodes basically in Smallville, basically from season, what was it, season 2? Yeah, season 2 to season 3, and then he kind of have a little kind of glimpse that that his character, I forget what Christopher Reeve's character he played, but he played a scientist, explained about, the young Clark Kent, played by Tom Williams, how you got yourself launched basically into our planet Earth, how you were expected to do great things, and it's a really decent, good documentary, because it does give Christopher Reeve, so as a really true hero, and how he really is a based being a decent man, and very bright basic young man, Richard, that matter, basically when he did the film. And he had gone to a lot of really basic trouble when he was in the wheelchair, but he was still basically still a strong hero, and he was still basically one of those actors that it was really hard on him that he can't be able to walk, but he's up in heavens now. He's basically still one of my favorite superheroes, Superman, basically those, because I kind of put him in basically in the first, basically, and I put Tom Williams and basically the rest of other Superman's versus based on the line. So yeah, but to be fair, Christopher Reeve was a real hero in the real world, and there's really no more I can say about that. And then finally, we have The Adventures of Super Pup, the 1958 TV pilot. Now, basically on back to the amazing story of the Superman, the amazing story of the Superman, there was going to be a tone for George Reed's basic spin-off, having, of course, Super Pup, and then, of course, Superboy. So they had their TV spots, TV basic pilot spot basically was in the 1950s, but they really didn't want to do that. I remember seeing them online, and now having this based on a Blu-ray set, it's pretty nice. I know the Superboy pilot is actually on the Smallville, the complete series box set, which I will eventually come around and get that originally on in my collection, and I will pick it up originally, hopefully. So that's pretty much it up there behind the scenes. I guess I'll just give you a little bit of what it looks like. So there you go. And then so we'll put this all back in into the box. So we put this right in. If this is, of course, a little not sturdy, but just basically, of course, a nice, really decent box, or so they use that, of course, really keep it inside. So slip it right in. Get our trusty flap of the cup. Make sure it's on the ends. I could just, it's kind of hard to get this on here. Okay, if I could just put it right in, originally. Should go right in. Hold on a second, guys. I think I kind of got it in. Let's see, hold on. So there you go, and it goes right through here. Sorry about the fuzziness. There we go. So it goes right in there, and then basically on the backing with the Blu-ray basic logo, and that's pretty much it. So there you go. That's, of course, the Superman, the movie, the Anthology, and of course I put Supergirl film in the side. To be fair, I honestly have to say, looking back now, I'm still surprised now with the effects they did, Richard, to make Superman believe that he could fly up into the air, and with all practical effects and everything else. And honestly, to be fair, I don't know. I still find it very joyful. A very joyful basically experience film, because honestly, like I said, Christopher Reeve was one of those actors who just really did the best he can, Richard, to pull his character in through Richard, because he's been going through Richard to a lot, like when he had his accident. And now he's no longer with us. It's a shame knowing that we have a different new type of actor who portrays Superman, and sort of as really kind of have no much interest of playing the role. But don't get me wrong, Henry Cavill, he's really good built to basically. He does have the positive look of this new version of Superman, but it just I guess you could say for what it is kind of very well joyful to see how he really kind of gave what basic audience believe what a superhero will look like. And for Christopher Reeve portraying as the character and really portraying as I find great thing about Christopher Reeve, he really just sort of just had this basic charisma. When he portrayed as Clark Kent, he's more the shrug his shoulders up, just a bit, feeling like he's actually quite a little nervous, all that. But when he's, very confident and strong and brave and even upright being of Superman, he really brought Superman, to really believe that a man can take bullets out of his, basically can really have his bullets bounce off his chest. And for that being, it's one of those kind of really kind of moments that you find yourself as as a kid, you're watching it, you really feel like this Superman can be believable. And I don't know if many parents never really shown kids of the of course the original Superman movie. I'm pretty sure you probably already have, and I know of course with the experience you're showing it for your children. And if I have children myself, I would definitely say, hey, this is how what Superman looks versus son or sweetheart. This is how he portrays himself, and especially when you have Supergirl. I mean, here's the thing I find about Supergirl. What they did basically in the live-action TV show series, they really gave Supergirl sort of as a chance, knowing that okay, she's still as Superman's cousin, but she's much more provide that difference because she does become a lot more stronger and a little bit more braver than her cousin is. But I found both of these characters, generally as I'm speaking, it does give people what did they see in these characters and how they see them as bright, wonderful, colorful, and even just a fun-loving basic characters. While like for today's animation, like from DC, for Marvel, they are really making it more fun and more joyful and actually excitement basic film. While DC, they kind of still still got a lot more work to do, and it's very kind of shame that we don't get to see that often. We don't see that anymore, Richard, with the the bright, colorful, and basic fun-loving characters that these superheroes are trying to make. But I don't know. I think my own kind of gripe about the Dawn of Justice, and I already did my review of it. It just feels like a little bit more darker, and it feels a little bit more kind of like depressing. And that's kind of hard, Richard, for making and to make a superhero film. But with Marvel doing so much well with their cinematic universe movies, it's very well shame that we probably won't see that basically with DC, Richard. Though. But to be fair, DC has gone to pretty well, decent well. Some general basic characters, like we got Green Arrow, his own basic spin-off series. Along with we've got Back to Flash. Of course. He's running for like 2 seasons. We're probably going to definitely get a 3rd season in a row around the rest until maybe hoping next year. And of course, Supergirl. Supergirl. She's one of those characters that I didn't much have care for, but I'm starting kind of liking it because with the idea of course, they try to believe that she can actually be more strong, more confident, and even more fun. Even more joyful, kind of like oh gosh, I feel like you even think about how I think about how I feel of this. But she's a loving, fun character, and then honestly a very well bright, a little bit kind of. But that's just how I see it and everything else. But yeah, there's really not much I can say about it. I mean, just a very well, nice, good, awesome packaging. I mean, the film itself is nice, good quality. I mean, I say before when I say good, nice quality. I mean, I do mean nice quality, but I think when we get into the 3rd and 4th, you do see a little bit difference of the special effects scenes of how you see Superman flying over basically in Metropolis and basically in those films. But you won't see that basically from Superman 1 and 2. You just know for a fact you just expect to see him, actually flying basically on Bristol basically of in Metropolis, and it's kind of quite interesting. But when we get to basically to Superman 3 and 4, and even Supergirl, you do see the wiring and a little bit of the effects of the background a little bit too kind of cheesy, a little too much, a little bit odd, Richard Delverson, to my favorite. But there's no more I can say about the films. They're just wonderful. They just are joyful, and yeah, I'll definitely continue watching them, definitely for sure. So that is it for me for now. There's no more I can say about the film. Definitely worth checking it out. So alright, so until next time, this is Sarah Perrin. Thank you for watching, and sayonara.